Okay, I'm going to explain to you the game that we play called Around the Empire. So first of all, I just did a search online for an image of a map of the Roman Empire, and I printed it out in color. Once I had it printed out, I started here at Rome as the number 1 spot. That's the starting spot. And then I just drew straight lines around the empire like this and basically made a game board out of it. As you can tell, it goes all the way around and then comes back somehow or another to Rome, and I believe there are 48 spots there. So I've created this game board, and I have one for each student. I put it in a plastic sleeve so that we can use a wipe-off marker as they go. Each student will need either a whiteboard or a piece of paper or something. Each student needs a dice. I have little erasers that I made for them, and this nifty little bucket of dice that I bought on Amazon, super cheap. Anyway, so basically I will use this game to ask any question that I want. So if I want to review declension endings or just straight up vocabulary or gender, whatever it may be. So I'll ask a question like the other day. I think I had put up something. Let me think for just a minute. Let me come up with one. I had put up this one. Bellum, belly. And I put that on the board, all right? And I told them, I said, okay, tell me what this means. Super simple question, right? So they each have their whiteboard, and their job was to write war. That means war, okay? It wasn't specific, just the general translation. And then when I've given everybody enough time to write the answer to the question, which really doesn't take very long, then I tell them all flip their board at the same time. So I can quickly go around the room and tell them, you know, yes, 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 no, yes, no, yes, yes, like to each kid, whether or not they got the question right or wrong. So the way the game is played, if they got the question correct, then they were able to roll their dice. Whatever they rolled, each individual child, okay, whatever they roll, they move that many places forward. So this gives it a little bit of chance. So I rolled a 4, so I'm going to slide around to here. And then if I did not get the question correct, then I don't get to roll my dice. So I go on, I ask them, you know, simple questions kind of like that. I might come up and ask them this question. I'll say, now this time, and I'll write this on the board. I'll say, now more specifically, tell me what this word means. So this time, if they do not give me the correct answer specifically, if they just put war, I will tell them no, because the answer I'm looking for is of the wars. Okay, they have to know their endings. Now, I can make this game however I want. I can give them access to their noun ending charts or not. So the group I've got this year, they're doing really, really well. So I'm not letting them use their charts for the game at this point. So anyway, that would have been the answer that I would have been looking for. So again, if I get the question right, I would roll my dice. This time I only rolled a 1, so I would only move forward 1 time. Now, here are the things that kind of make the game a little more interesting. If you will notice on my board, coming along, for example, this right here, it says RR. Well, RR is for random reward. What that means is, after everybody's gone and they've moved, I will say, okay, if you've got a random reward, raise your hand. And what I have here, I have these 2 dice. I choose 2 different colored dice. I have this nifty bag of dice that I got way back when from Amazon. But anyway, I have this 2 dice, black, and I keep them in my pocket. Okay, so when it's time for a random reward, there might be anywhere from 1 to 4 kids sometimes who all landed on a random reward on the board. If they land on a random reward, I will draw one of these dice out of my pocket. So it stays random because I don't know which dice I'm drawing. So if I happen to draw the yellow dice, which we've established ahead of time as the moving forward dice, I'll roll it. And this says 6, so everybody who got a random reward gets to move forward 6 spaces. If I happen to pull the black dice out of my pocket, then, you know, that's to go backwards. So everybody who got the random reward will have to go backwards 1. Now, we are operating on the honor system here. I'm not going around to specifically check to make sure that they're being truthful, that they did land on a random reward. But I'm assuming we're all being honest. There's one other space on here I want to explain to you. If you keep coming around the board here. Oh, wait a minute. Go backwards. There's one there. That S, the S, and here's another one here. The S stands for switch. This is where things get really crazy. And honestly, we usually do switches first. So I'll ask my questions, whatever my questions may be. I might have those 2 words already still up on the board, and my next question might be, okay, tell me the gender of Belum. Or I might say, what is a declension of Belum? And they just have to write, like, you know, N on their board. They don't have to do a whole lot of stuff. Anyway, so once everybody's rolled their, we've done the correct answers, they've all rolled their dice, they've all moved, I tell them, we always do switches first, okay? So I'm like, if you get a switch, stand up with your board, okay? So once they've figured out where they've landed, if they land on an S, then they stand up. We always do the switches first. So then once everybody's up and I know who they are, then I will, just one at a time, I will tell them, okay, you know, Ava, go ahead and go and switch your board with anybody that you want to switch your board with. So she gets to go trade boards with whoever in the class that she wants to trade board with. Now, they don't get a chance to go look at all the boards to see which one is the best. They just have to pick a name and go. The other students are allowed to hide their boards for this part. So Ava, let's say Ava picks Sophia, so she just goes and she takes Sophia's board and gives Sophia her board. So anyway, once all of the switches have been done, I ask for random rewards. We roll our dice. People who get random rewards move on. Now, let's say you got a random reward, but somebody switched boards with you. So at that point, we let the random reward stay with the original owner. That's why we do random rewards second. So if you get a random reward, but your game board got taken from you, then you get to use your random reward on the next board, the one that you just got given. I hope that makes sense. So y'all, I totally made this game up. There's not one right way to play it. You guys fix it, tweak it, however you want. So anyway, the types of questions that I ask. What declension is it? What does it mean in a general sense of the word? I will put a specific ending. Sometimes if it's a word like this, it has 2 meanings, right? Belis could mean to or for the wars, or it could mean by, with, from the wars. So if that's the case, then if they put either of them down, then they get the question right. It doesn't matter which one, because technically we don't know the context. I think one time we played where if they got both of them right, they got to roll their dice twice, but then that got really confusing, so I probably won't do that again. Okay, so questions I ask. Translation, declension, gender, specific translation, and then sometimes we go backwards. I will ask them a question like, how would you write by, with, from the war? And then I would write that on the board, you know, by, with, from the war. And then they would have to give me the specific answer of below. That would be what they would have on their board. It has to be spelled correctly in order to get to roll your dice. So anyway, I hope this makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions.